Hey there, Ken Wolfman, standaloneharness.com. So I'm going to do a bit of an unboxing video here on a standalone harness for your typical Duramax with the configuration of the ECM TCM harness for standalone use. If you've watched my other video on what to send, I go in the detail of what the sections of the Duramax harness are. This is the ECM TCM section, which is done and ready for standalone use. And so let's define standalone first of all. So standalone is just that. It means that it's on its own. It's not intended to be plug and play with a Kia Soul, for instance. This is never going to just directly mate and plug right into the vehicle that you're swapping into. All standalone harnesses by nature need to have some customer work done in terms of getting the thing tied into your vehicle. So this harness is complete. This is a 21-year-old LLY harness. So this is the condition they're in when we send them back. Generally speaking, it looks pretty close to new. We do an extensive cleanup on these harnesses. They may not be absolutely perfect. You may find a speck of dust here or there, or if you have an LB7 that was used in a salty environment, there may be light corrosion or even heavy corrosion for that matter on the aluminum bodies of the ECM connector. But note that we do check each of the terminals under magnification for any type of corrosion. If there's a corrosion issue in the terminals, we stop, we'll call you, and then we'll figure out how you want to proceed with getting a new core. But for the most part, that's the exception, not the norm. So when this is all set up, you as the installer need to hook up this thick red wire to 12-volt battery power. Generally, it should just go straight to the battery. The pink wire here is ignition on, that wakes up the fuse block, and then the fuse block in turn turns on the ECM, the TCM powers up the valve body, and then of course the mass airflow sensor. It's not intended to run extra circuits. These wires are sized for the loads that are calculated that we're going to have with the engine, transmission, ECM, and the TCM. This fuse block is not for tapping into and adding your fast fuel pump or your Dukes of Hazzard horn. Just leave this alone. It's standalone, and that's exactly what it means. It needs to stand on its own. So once you got your fuse block's power run, you're going to tie in our single 10-gauge ground to your engine block. Goes directly to the block. Don't tie it to your painted valve covers. Don't put it on the powder-coated steering bracket or power steering pump brackets. You'll have problems if you don't have a good ground. So from there, you're decking this into the upper engine harness, which is the harness that spiders over the motor. Again, if you need more detail on that, take a look at the video that goes through what to send. So in terms of connections on the vehicle side, for LB7 and LLY, you'll have a pigtail sticking out of the upper end of the transmission section, and this will be labeled PNP for part neutral position. And so these wires will have a backup light capability, so when you put it in reverse, your backup lights will pop on. And then this also has the ability to trigger a relay for your starter. Note that none of our harnesses that we supply have a starter solenoid circuit in the harness. It's a liability issue. So, and generally speaking, every vehicle, that's the vehicle side circuit anyways, because if you've got a shifter in the car for the automatic transmission, it's going to have a neutral safety switch in it. So it's up to the customer to wire in their starter solenoid on their vehicle side circuits. Moving up the harness here, this particular set is for Cruise. Now Cruise is natively available in LLY, LB7, and LBZ only. Anything newer than 2007 does not have Cruise native to the ECM. So LMMs, LMLs, and L5Ps won't have Cruise wires sticking out. It's a simple 4-wire hookup. You'll tie that into the typical GM cruise switch, which is on the turn signal stalk. And again, it's just 4 wires. And we do provide a separate set of directions that you can email us for when it comes time to hook up a cruise. The reason I do it that way is because I used to provide cruise directions in the box. I had a guy decide to set his vehicle up on jack stands, run the cruise control up to 70 miles an hour with flat tires, and it shook itself off the stands, drove into his house, and then his attorney called me. So yeah, I no longer provide cruise directions without a email to the customer that says don't try on jack stands or on a lift. As far as inputs and outputs go, additionally, this set of inputs will be available for LB7, LLY, and LBZ. So first of all, you got the TAC output, which is a digital signal, and so you're going to need a programmable TAC. The speedometer signal is also a digital signal. You're going to need a programmable speedometer. The gray wire here, and of course this is handled in all the directions, I spelled this out clearly. The gray wire is for 4-wheel drive low signal. After LMM, 4-wheel drive low signal, there's no way to input it because that was a signal that went in on CAN. Got outputs for a check engine light and a wait to start indicator. Those are intended to be hooked to a bulb, not an LED. If you're going to use LEDs, it has to have resistors, because if this can't see the 12-volt positive circuit on the other side, you're going to get a fault code in your ECM that says that you don't have a MIL light or a wait to start indicator bulb. So if your LEDs don't have resistors, or if you don't know, contact a gauge manufacturer. I don't know what Dakota Digital does with their gauge clusters. I don't build them, but all I can say is if there are LEDs in their cluster, they need to have resistors. So we do have a 5-foot-long OBD diagnostic port on every harness that we ship. We don't ship any without. We never have, never will. For LB7, LLY, and LBZ, this connector here will be for the pedal jumper. If this were an LMM, LML, or L5P, we would have a 1-piece circuit here with the pedal connector built onto the harness and ready to go. Our default connection for pedals for LMM, LML, and L5P are going to be for a truck style pedal from 2008 through 2016. So, or we can do like a C5 Corvette pedal, a Gen 5 Camaro, or a C6 Corvette pedal. So basically it's going to be any pedal that accepts the GT150 6-way connector. I don't stock other connectors for other pedals. If you're trying to pull a pedal out of a van, out of a Top Kick, out of a GTO, or a Pontiac G6, yeah, no, I don't have it. These are our standards, and those are that's the pedal selection that we've got. Going down to the transmission, so your turbine connector and your vehicle speed sensor is on every Allison 6-speed, every generation of it. The earlier generations for LB7, LLY, and LBZ had an input shaft sensor on them. And so basically you're going to just tie that in and you'll be done. So this is a standalone harness. This is the complete package. When it arrives, this will be in the box, in addition to your air conditioning compressor connector, pigtail. You will tie this into your AC system that you're going to use. So if it's vintage air, tie this into vintage air, plug it into the Duramax compressor, everything will work fine. There is no input on any of these harnesses, be it LB7, LLY, LBZ, LMM, LML, or L5P, for an AC request or idle up or any of that other stuff. This is a Duramax. It's got tons of torque. You don't need idle up to drive the 5 horsepower that the AC compressor is going to pull. There's no way to give it that signal anyway. If it's a LBZ or an LLY, you'll have your low plug control module cable put back in the box, cleaned and ready for you to install on your glow plug control module to your battery. If you have an LMM or LML or L5P, the glow plug control module power cable is part of the cable set of the truck, which we don't want you to send to us anyways, just keep it on your side. Again, watch the video of what to send and what not to send for more information on that. And of course, our directions on how to install and how to hook up all of the pigtails except for cruise and PNP, where again, we'll send you follow-up instructions if required. If you have any additional questions on what a standalone harness is and what it is not, again, it doesn't plug and play into anything. It's intended to be wired in by the customer. It's not intended to drive anything else like fuel pumps or Dukes of Hazzard horns, whatever. It's intended to run in standalone configuration. Thanks for watching.